So, I just got done watching Freakish Season 2, and I thought I'd give my thoughts on it. I know I usually do either game reviews or gameplay, but after watching this season, I just needed to say something. So, I hope that you will come along with me on this journey of talking about a show on Hulu that isn't that great, but it's not absolutely terrible. Freakish is an original Hulu show. It's like another zombie apocalypse storyline, but instead of zombies, we have what they call freaks or mutants. In season 1, by the way, spoilers ahead, I just have to put that out there. This is riddled with spoilers, so if you have not seen Freakish and do not wish to be spoiled, turn back now. Here's your warning. I'll give you a minute to close out of this video. There you go, you got your minute. Literally, it was just a second. Anyways, so we met our main cast of characters in season 1. They were all at the high school as the town's big science building, or I think it's a nuclear plant or something like that, has an explosion. Keller is the place that blows up. Again, it's the big science lab. And the kids have or had parents who worked for the plant. Some of them, at least. First, we have Grover. He's basically our everyman, the first guy we come across in the opening of the show, who actually has, meaningful dialogue. He goes purposely into detention to get close to the girl he likes, Violet, who we actually saw at the very start of the show, but we only see her for a minute and she's on the phone with a very ominous, tone to her voice, leaving a voicemail. She's threatening someone and we don't know who. We later see her in the detention when Grover tries to woo her, but she rebuffs his advances. We don't know why she's in the detention at the beginning of the show. Diesel's also in the detention, and him and Grover have a slight altercation, but it isn't that major of a plot point. They kind of work through it past, I'd say, the second episode, and they become acquaintances or friends. They're basically on the same side. I don't know why they had this as a plot point. It was quickly resolved, but you will hear this a lot in my review about this show, is the plot points. Next, we see Mary, who is Grover's younger sister. She's playing her violin, but it quickly cuts over to another character. This was kind of poor foreshadowing, in my honest opinion, but uh, we'll move on from that. We meet Natalie and her friend Addie, who are getting ready for a campaign for student council president. And then it quickly pans over once again, poor foreshadowing. We see Zoe, Noodle, and LaShawn. They're the jock tropes for our show. Zoe is a cheerleader, Noodle and LaShawn are both basketball players. And lastly, we meet Barrett, our super smart and famous computer nerd, who's also kind of a stuck-up asshole. At least that's how he's portrayed in the first season, which, again, we'll talk more about that. I felt in the first season they started killing off people too early. We hardly got to know our first casualty, Mary, really. We knew she was Grover's younger sister, as I said before, and she enjoyed playing the violin. That's about it. That's all we really know about her. Also, that her and Grover's parents worked at the Keller plant, which they tell people straight off. So she gets bit and turns, showing that being bitten is infectious in the show, much like a classic zombie type angle, of course. So now that we covered a quick recap of season's one's little start of characters, let's get into season 2. I don't really want to talk about season 1 because if you really are curious, go watch it yourself. This is about season 2. We once again only have 10 episodes, which I felt was a weakness in the last season, and I hoped this time that they would be able to pace it well as well as they could in the allotted time allowed. Sad to say, the pacing once again for me was rushed and off. They threw in some new characters. We open with the cliffhanger that left us wanting more from season 1. LaShawn is back, but he brought the blue suits who we discovered in season 1 to be killing witnesses. LaShawn tells the group he found them and asked for help, but upon figuring out that they were doing sketchy things, he escapes and makes his way back to the high school. He is seen by an unknown man who shows up later in the season. We'll just call him Unknown for now. LaShawn tells them he was followed and that they have to deal with this new threat. Sadly, LaShawn gets his leg broken, and since he had diabetes, his leg breaks, turns infectious, and he ends up getting gangrene. Barrett is in the room with LaShawn, and he basically listens as LaShawn tells him to kill him because the freaks can smell the rotting leg. Now, this is another plot point which left me kind of miffed. Because, for one, when Barrett listens to LaShawn's request, we don't hear his answer. The only thing we get is the next scene where LaShawn is dead. So, he did kill LaShawn. But when he kills LaShawn, all of the freaks immediately stop trying to break into the high school to get to the source of the smell. I don't think that's really how that would work. Rotting doesn't stop once you're dead. But I guess it's a minor issue compared to other points. This is just one thing that I've noticed is the lazy writing, and this was a good lead up to it. Oops, sorry. So Barrett doesn't tell anyone what LaShawn asked him to do, and we already know that's not going to go well at all. Grover is still hiding the fact he has a photo from the assassin sent in season 1 showing he is a retrieval target, and this gets discussed later as well. Since Grover went out to find antibiotics to help LaShawn, he comes across new survivors in the pharmacy store. We meet Oliver and his spoiled, rotten sister Anka, Zane, who was actually Violet's ex from season 1, where we hear her talking into the phone, and we also meet Sadie and two other people who I can't really remember their names. One of them liked to skateboard, and the other one was kind of an elderly Asian American woman. That's all I can really say. She was like in her mid 40s or 30s. I don't know. Anyways, Freakish does what it does best. It introduces characters rather quickly and just kills them off without us really knowing much about them. Right off the bat, trust issues start happening with this group because Grover brings them back to the high school and of people clash. Barrett goes, "Why did you bring these people back?" And Grover basically says, "We're helping them." And Zoe, is also on board with that. She wants to help people, and she tells Barrett, "If somebody came across my little brothers, I'd want them to help them." So we can see where Barrett gets swayed into sympathizing with the new group. Diesel doesn't get along with Anka or Oliver, and stuff like that starts happening. Soon, Anka and Oliver start getting very suspicious where they're trying to get out of the school, but they get caught and they hand over supposedly all the weapons, but of course Anka doesn't. And we later discover that they had a beacon where they were going to go up to the roof and call for a helicopter to come get them. Why did they have this beacon? Because they happened to be found out to be the Keller children. Basically, the plant that blew up, their daddy owned it, and so they're suspicious to the group for some reason because, they totally blew up their own plant, right? Again, this is lazy writing in my opinion, but it causes the plot to move forward, so I digress. My next real big criticism has to come with also the trust issues in this season. Zane and Violet seem to be reconciling, and they were exes. She put a bomb in his car for cheating on her. At least, supposedly cheating on her. And Barrett is still hiding LaShawn, that he killed LaShawn, and Grover still hides the fact that he's a retrieval target. So we have all these characters hiding things, but the thing I have to point out is in season 1, Violet hides the fact that she planted a car and she thinks she caused the explosion at the Keller plant. We find out that Anka and Oliver were hiding that they were the Keller children. We find out that Barrett was hiding the fact that, he was talking to people on the radio. And we just find out a lot of people are hiding a lot of things. So let's talk about character growth. Now, before I get into more of the plot, I just want to say that character growth is a fast happening thing with Freakish. One thing from the next, it bounces around. You will not become invested in certain characters with the way they portray their growth. It's fast and quick, which maybe is the style for these types of teen shows, but it just doesn't leave much for the audience to get invested in. I could care less if all these characters died. We see Barrett grow, which I have to say Barrett is probably the only character that I came out of this second season actually enjoying on screen. Over the course of season 1, barely. He barely grows. But in season 2, we really see more development, which I was proud about. And we learn more about him, which is also great. I'm invested in this character, at least more so than the other ones. If Barrett died, I would frown and be like, "Oh, well, that's a shame." But I wouldn't, cry over it. Um, since the whole "I'm a smart prick asshole" thing was the angle with Barrett's character that they used in season 1, I think that it left his character from that, in the first season in the garbage can, but the fact that they decided to try to pick it up and make it actually where he's a person really helped with his character in my regard, in, regards to what I think helped with his show. Zoe is my least favorite character this season. I understand that Natalie died in front of her and she lost her boyfriend, but the way she quickly turned on Barrett shocked me. Barrett helped her boyfriend in the first season and showed to be a compassionate and comforting person. While yes, Barrett does like Zoe, and it's always thrown around that he likes Zoe, and everybody knows he likes Zoe, he doesn't actively try to sabotage her and LaShawn. He cares about her. While yes, he does send LaShawn out in season 1 because Zoe was the name he picked out of the hat when they needed to send someone out to find help, he wanted to protect her. And I don't think he was ever trying to really sabotage them. Violet also left me feeling really annoyed. She has this romance with Grover in season 1, and she kept her own secret, but once Grover was told by her about it, he doesn't hold it over her head, nor does he discard her. In fact, he just keeps trying to show her he loves her. However, once Grover's secret gets outed, she basically tells him to fuck off and goes back to her ex, whom she almost blew up. What the fuck? I don't even like the Violet plot point just well, they took care of that on their own. Wink wink. Diesel's character is left in a sad limbo, but I understand why they did this. I felt for him. He has his anger he needs to work out through the grief of losing Natalie right in front of him, and he had just fallen in love with her and he found someone who accepted him for who he was, even though he was a quote unquote delinquent. But at the same time, these writers just threw in a new love interest for him, and it made the weight of what he lost that more or less impactful for me. While it's not confirmed that they're love interests, I'm seeing how this is going to go. And from the writing point of view of what I've noticed so far of their trends, I wouldn't put it past them to be that shallow. Grover, he's the main focal point, I feel, for this narrative. He's supposed to be the one character that the most is happening with. The big plans are behind Grover's character. He's basically like our Rick Grimes of the show. It's obvious the writers want to have something happen with him, but we'll have to just wait and see. He's also kind of annoying, though, if you think about it. I don't understand why he didn't come clean with everyone about the fact that he was a retrieval target. I don't know what that would have done for people, but I guess we find out because they do, in fact, find out about Grover being a retrieval target. Why? Because Grover sabotaged the beacon for the helicopter that the Anka and Oliver were trying to call down, and he has to give them back the parts, so they dig through his bag and find the photo. It is then found out that Grover is the son of one of the scientists who worked at the Keller plant, which was already discussed in season 1. So it just I don't know. But you find out that his dad's lab is where the explosion started, so everybody suspects that he was sent to the school to be kept safe because he knew what was going to happen, which I feel is a ridiculous idea and very stupid. And the fact that Grover's been, working with them and a big part of the team of the survival, it kind of just left me feeling like, well, this is being rushed, isn't it? Again, very lazy writing. Anka and Oliver have their own mini plot point. Anka basically tells her brother that his ex, who I guess we're told stole from their family, also did something more sinister. Oliver won't hear of it, so he abandons her and everyone to get the helicopter and get out of Dodge. Now, again, lazy writing here. No one hears this helicopter land in the middle of the night and him take off, even though, where is he landing it? I don't know. Another weak point of the plot. Once again, Zane and Violet talk about what happened and they reconnect because, fuck Grover, right? And I couldn't stand their scenes together. This girl tried to tried putting a bomb in his car and blowing up. Or she did put a bomb, not tried. She did. She put a bomb in his car, and he supposedly cheated on her. What is going on? I don't even. Okay, we're moving on. Zoe lashes out at Barrett and tells him every little nasty thing she's thought about him, despite the whole first season showing them becoming close friends. It's just lazy. And LaShawn just dies. We don't really see any growth with him, so no character growth. And, take that, you diabetic, you because it was a problem in season 1, so of course they had to kill him off. I feel like that's why they also killed off Natalie. It's because she was pregnant in season 1 and they can't deal with having a baby. That's just too hard. That's some real stuff. So let's just kill the diabetic and the pregnant chick. I knew the moment I saw the new survivors, it was going to be one of two ways. Either they were going to go with a slower pace for the show to let us develop the new players and finally have a proper pacing because they kind of fucked it up in season 1, or they were going to do a season run and rush everything. Sadly, of course, they did a season 1. I didn't know anything about these people, and they killed 2 of them off early on, I think like first 2 episodes in. And then we meet the new antagonist group, but again, we hardly know anything about them other than that their names are Birdie, Haley, Jake, and I don't remember the other guy's name. I'll just call him Creepy Smiles for now. And they're from Birdie and Jake were experiments from Keller, and we find out that she has seizures when the mutants are around, and Jake is like a super soldier, while Haley and Creepy Smile guys, I guess they're just survivors, but I don't know much about them, and we never really will. Creepy Smile Guys dies. Haley's still around. Jake is alluded to be dead. We're not sure if he's dead. I don't think he's dead, but it's alluded that he is dead. And of course, Creepy Smile Guys kills Violet, so she's gone now. So the whole Violet and Zane plot point, I guess, was just for, oh, a rush of romance. She goes from Grover to Zane, but will she go back to Grover? No, because the bitch is dead. That's literally how they ended that plot point there. Lazy writing. The acting, I felt like the acting grew. And that's where the positive comes in for my review here. Even by the original cast, they grew. I think the young new actors are growing into their own talent with this experience of the show, and it's a nice saving grace. Violet's actress is much more enjoyable to watch on screen. Her lines were so cringy season 1. I mean, her lines are still kind of meh this season, but I think that's the bad writing here. And I feel like Grover's actor is doing better, but Barrett's actor, oh my goodness, Barrett's actor is blowing me out of the water. He's very talented. So I will say the acting, it was a saving grace for this next season. They have improved, and I will commend them for that. But sadly, we can't always talk about all the good things. We gotta get back to the plot. Ooh, this plot. We see the group break up, of course, and we're left with Grover and Barrett doing their own adventure to get out of the town. They get in the ambulance that LaShawn drove back to the high school, and the other group casted them out because of Grover's secret and Barrett killing LaShawn, even though no one believes that LaShawn asked Barrett to kill him to save everyone. And Zoe, comes out and says, "Oh, you did it because you wanted in my pants." And I'm just kind of like, "Really, Zoe? Really? You think you'd murder someone just to get in your whatever?" She's a bit stuck up. They come across the federal government's compound where they are claiming to be aiding survivors. However, we find out with Grover and Barrett that they're killing the witnesses just like they were trying to kill them at the high school in season 1. The government is covering this up. They don't want people to know about the mutants and the Keller plant causing this. They hack a computer and take screenshots of the files of experiments and other little nasties Keller was doing. And when they try to get out, they alert the compound, and Grover takes off his gas mask, which leaves him exposed to the toxic air, which is what we know to cause the mutations. He does this so that Barrett can run and escape, and he'll get captured and dealt with. He had a moment where he sacrificed himself for Barrett, and I thought it was a very good point of character for Grover and Barrett. Again, they're probably the 2 characters that have actually had some growth and plot push in the right direction. So Barrett gets out and Grover gets captured. Um, we see the season end where Grover does wake up in a bed connected to an IV and his dad is there. We don't see his dad's face. I'm guessing they haven't casted somebody to play his dad. And he leans over and goes, "Dad," and the guy nods in the shadows. And we know that this man is the one that did all the experiments on people like Jake and Birdie. So we'll see, and Grover knows this too, so we'll see how he handles this next season. I think this is their cliffhanger. It's not as good as the last cliffhanger in my honest opinion, but I will watch the next season because, well, this show is kind of like crack. Overall, I felt this season was better than the first. They improved on certain things, such as the acting, but I still felt like the show was not on par with great writing nor good characters. They only have 10 episodes, and I feel like they're trying to make the best of that. However, with survival shows like this, you need pacing. You need to get us invested in the characters. It's all about human psychology with survival mixed in. The nitty gritty, the lowdown of politics, and oh shit, the world is over. And you can't just do that with 10 episodes rushing through plot points like they were. I would give Freakish a 4 out of 10. It's fun to watch if you have nothing better at all to see, but there are other shows who did this type of plot better, such as The Walking Dead and so on and so forth. Freakish is a teen show that isn't trying to be better than what it is. It's fine being just that, a campy teen show, another stale teenage show on the shelf. And that makes me sad because with no actual writing or character growth, I feel like people need to not underestimate teenagers so much. They can deserve good media, they can handle complex plot points. And you're just basically dumbing everything down and rushing through it and making it horrible writing because that's all it is to them. A shitty teen show that's a Hulu original. And again, I just watched it because I literally had nothing else to watch. All my shows are currently on hiatus or they're not airing right now. And so I wasted time with Freakish. So if you want to give Freakish a look see, you do have to pay for a Hulu subscription, and it's not worth that just to see that show alone. But I will say that if you wanted to see a take on zombie survival with, instead of just zombies, it's Fallout nuclear apocalypse meets Walking Dead, then the show will give you a quick fix of something that leaves you feeling like you need something better and more desirable. Anyways, this has been my review of Freakish. I'm sorry if my review is not that great. I am not used to reviewing things, and I hope to grow as a person and get better at it. Thank you for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and leave a comment if you enjoyed this content or wish for me to review other things. Thank you.